In this video, we are going to talk about the Real ID Act. Many of you might be concerned about whether or not it's going to hinder you from traveling freely around the United States after it goes into effect. In this video, I'm going to talk about what it is, when it's going into effect, who it impacts, and the types of ID that are expectable or will be acceptable to the government once the Real ID goes into effect. Visit us at Swat&Vee channel with your questions to see how best we can help you out with your process. Please don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Let's talk about the Real ID Act. The Real ID Act goes into effect on May 3rd, 2023. What it says is that federal agencies may not accept a state-issued driver's license or ID card unless it's a Real ID compliant driver's license or the ID was issued by a state that DHS has determined to be in a full compliance. This is very significant because under the Real ID Act, folks will not be able to board an airplane and fly domestically within the United States without a Real ID compliant driver's license or ID. Now, the Real ID cards will have a star at the top of the card. The Real ID Act applies when an individual presents a state-issued driver's license or identification card to a federal agency for an official purpose as defined in the acts and regulations, such as boarding a federally regulated commercial aircraft. You may be from New York or Michigan, Washington, Minnesota, or Vermont, and in your state, they have what's known as an enhanced driver's license. That EDL is an alternative to the Real ID. If you have an EDL from one of those states, then you are good to go. Complaint IDs require proving U.S. citizenship or immigration status. The other acceptable form of IDs would be considered a U.S. passport, a U.S. passport card, or a military ID card. Check TSA's website for any updates regarding these ones. The new rules go into effect. Here is a list of individuals who are eligible to get a Real ID: LPRs, local permanent residents, local temporary residents, conditional residents, asylums, refugee, asylums applicants, non-immigrants. Those of you who are here in the non-immigrant visa status, TPS applicants, TPS holders, those who have been approved for deferred action, and also those of you who have applied for adjustment of status. You might be thinking, what if you had a state-issued ID that is marked not acceptable for official federal purposes? Will DHS think that you are undocumented and take actions against you? Well, they've said that they are not going to conclude. They are not going to come to any form of conclusion that a person is undocumented. But again, obviously, we have to wait and see once this is fully implemented to see what the impact is on the ground. But as for now, they are saying no, they are not going to make that conclusion. Let's take a look at California to see how they are handling the Real ID Act. Here is an example of what a driver's license in California looks like, with a Real Star ID in the upper right corner of the ID. For those of you who are not eligible for a Real ID, they have another that is called the Federal Non-Compliant Driver's License, with federal limits apply marking in the upper right corner. What are my concluding thoughts in light of the information is that you travel at your own risk if you are here in the United States and you do not have documents such as a green card or U.S. citizenship or some other lawful status here in the U.S. You are essentially traveling at your own risk. You need to also, secondly, begin to work on whatever immigration options that would allow you to have lawful status in the United States. Also, you should consider the fact that, obviously, when you apply for a driver's license, there is a database and there are some groups out that are very concerned about privacy issues and whether DHS may have access to the records at some point in the near future. So keep that in mind as well. And then there are some uncertainties with respect to how all of this is really going to be handled and rolled out starting May 3rd, 2023. For some people, you may take the position up by saying, I'm just not going to travel. I'm not going to take that risk. And in fact, the National Immigration Law Center, which is a nationally recognized advocacy group, says it this way: given the uncertainty about whether federal agencies will accept these licenses under a phased enforcement schedule and the potential risk for undocumented people, we suggest that people who are not lawfully present refrain from presenting these licenses or any of the listed federal purposes, particularly for boarding airplanes. I hope you guys found this video extremely helpful. If you know anybody that could benefit from this information, definitely make sure to share this video with them. We are all about empowering you with knowledge. So the more people that can benefit from this video, the more people we want watching this video. If you like this video, please make sure to hit that thumbs icon. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and hit on the notification bell for more immigration updates. Bye!